Imagine you went rich overnight without planning. Maybe you won the lottery, not very likely. Maybe you received a large inheritance, maybe more likely. Maybe an investment really got to the moon, or a side hustle took off like mad. It's more people than you think who are exactly in this position, becoming rich overnight. And for those, I've made this video. So, in a way, when you become wealthy, rich overnight, this is a lucky situation, isn't it? In a way, that's right. And in a way, it's not right. Because in order to handle wealth that you are not used to, you need a new mindset. And that's why you need a mindset training. So the most likely situations you are going to face is when you become wealthy overnight, you lose your friends and family. Because everybody is expecting that you buy them and give them stuff for free because you are that wealthy, you are that rich, and you have kind of an obligation to give them something for free. And if you do, you will lose them. And if you don't, you will lose them as well. So this is one thing you may face. You lose friends and family. Second thing, you may end up in substance abuse. Many people do. They drink more, they take any kind of drugs, whatever. The risks are very high. Third, you may end up in a divorce because your marriage, your relationship with your spouse is not used to handle lots of money, and lots of demands and wishes and urges come up that have been non-existent in the past. And this is quite a threat for the marriage. Now, I'm going to give you 7 tips how to handle this situation. It's kind of a mindset training, a situation in order to avoid those things that I just mentioned. The largest amount that's been won by a guy, and I guess it was in the 70s, was $350 million US. And this was a man who was not used to any wealth at all. And he was kind of kind-hearted and gave away cars and houses to his friends and his family, and he gave away everything that you can think of. The end of the story is his wife got divorced from him, he lost all his friends, and at the end of the day, he was poorer than before. What seemed first glance as a kind-hearted guy turned out to be a guy who couldn't handle his situation. And this is why you do want to keep your wealth as secretly as possible. Even if you keep it a secret that you are wealthy, there are signs that will tell that something has changed with you. And then the likelihood that you get robbed, sued, blackmailed, or scammed even by friends is gonna be more likely. There is one person that you need to have, and this is an attorney who is specialized on trusts, who knows how to handle wealth and who knows what to do with a lot of money. Think of an attorney. He or she is the person who should know about your wealth and nobody else. Number 2, quite a few advisors will tell you to quit your job. Others will advise you not to quit your job. And both are wrong and right. The only thing is you want to keep a job that enjoys you, and you want to quit a job that doesn't give you any satisfaction. What you should not quit is working. Do some work that you enjoy and avoid any work that you do not enjoy, that doesn't give you any satisfaction. Without work, you lose the center of your life. As long as you keep working on a job that you enjoy, you will then not be spending all your time on thinking how to spend your money. You don't want to spend your money anyway. You want to invest it wisely. And this is something that requires a certain mindset. And this mindset doesn't come overnight. It has to develop gradually. And this is why I would suggest you to at least keep working on a job that you enjoy for at least a year after you made all this money. So you gradually become acquainted with the new money situation you are in. Number 3, pay back all your debts, particularly those with a high interest rate. This is usually very often a car loan, a debit card that you have debts on, any consumption goods that you have bought and have a debt on, you want to all pay them off and keep those loans with a low interest rate, 2 to 3%, like a mortgage, in an investment that is likely to give you a return on investment. That is an appreciating investment, in contrast to those consumption good loans that are depreciating in value. So pay off all bad debts and retain all the good credits. Paying off those debts with a high interest rate is like earning money. And promise yourself never to fall back into the cycle of buying depreciating stuff on a loan. Never do this again. Number 4, don't lend any money. When people realize you have become rich overnight, they think they are entitled to have a share of it. And then they may ask you to lend the money that they may or may not want to pay back because you are so rich. Why should I bother to pay this back because this guy is so rich now? And this will destroy family and friendships. Never lend money to people. If you think they are in need and if you feel you want to fill in this need, you may give them money, but never expect it back. I know this from experience. Never lend people to family or friends. This will destroy your relationships, almost always. And a little detail, when I give money to friends or family and don't expect it back, I will put it under one condition, that they never ask me again for money. If people ask you for money who are in financial pressure, this may feel like a nice and friendly thing you can do. But on the other hand, the tendency is that these guys have experienced once that when they are under pressure, you are going to bail them out. And they will be tempted to say, well, if he did it once, he will probably do it another time. And then you are spiraling down, because the more often you bail them out, the more often and the more intensive they will feel that you should, because you've always done it, you should again bail them out. This is a mess you don't want to get into. It may sound heartless, and it's the exact opposite. We all need to be responsible for what we do. And this includes your friends and your family. They need to take full responsibility for anything they do and experience in their lives, particularly, not only, but particularly in financial terms. Number 5, how much do you need to have or to earn in order to feel financially free? Now, this is a very interesting topic. When you are wealthy overnight, you may want to spend money off that principal that you've gained. And this is the worst thing you can do. Never eat up the principal. Only use and spend the interest on the principal. So if you want to be financially free, and your figure is, I feel financially free if I have 200,000 euros, pounds a year. Now, how much would you need principal to be able to have 200K a year for spending? Well, if you take a figure, an interest figure of 4%, then you would need 5 million euros, pounds US, to be able to have 200K to spend. Now, that's very easy, isn't it? And this is very likely that you can make it if you invest your money wisely. Now, let's talk about how could you invest your money wisely. Let's go from 5 million, so you have 200K a year that you can spend. What I'm about to share with you in terms of investing funds, I would like to mention that I'm not a financial advisor at all. And this, what I'm sharing with you, is just educational. It's not financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor or counselor. Keep this in mind when you consider perhaps doing what I tell you is an option. You can do it. You don't have to do it. Your decision. With the first million euros, pounds, US dollars, I put the first million into a low-cost total stock market index fund. So the first million goes into there. If you, for instance, take the MSCI World, this has had an interest rate of almost 9% over the last 20 years, with ups and downs, of course, but average 9%, not bad. It could be more, it could be less, but if you take 9% as an average, this would give you 90,000 per year as a return on investment. Not so bad. Broad bond market index is probably safer than the stock market, because you give bonds to companies, large companies, to governments in a very broad scale. This will bring you a return on investment of, over the past 25 years, of average 4%. Since this is supposed to be safer than the stock market, this is kind of a safety net for your finances. I'd put $500,000 into real estate, single home houses, and they have had in the past an increase in value over time with ups and downs as everything. But over time, it was an increase in value of 7.5% per year. So this makes out of 500,000, 35K a year. And if you then consider to buy commercial real estate like warehouses, 500,000 again, you will end up at an average of 8% per year, which ends up at 40K per year. Return on investment. So to repeat, if you buy real estate, residential real estate, you end up at 7.5% annually in return on investment by appreciation. And if you take another 500,000 for commercial real estate, you have a pretty steady income because they are usually rented out for a longer period of time. And there is an average of 8%, which makes then 40K per year. So you end up at 75K per year by investing into real estate. 500,000 you want to put into blue chip cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. We all know this is a pretty volatile asset. Bitcoin has an average of, I believe, 45% over the last 10 years with huge ups and downs, as you know. But I mean, if you plan to keep it for a longer period of time, you may experience some real nice return on investment without any guarantees because the past doesn't predict the future, as we all know. If we calculate cautiously, cryptos may end up at an average of 12.5% annual return on investment, which is a nice return and could be higher, could be less. Finally, I would invest 1 million into a high interest savings account, which will give you back like $45,000, pounds, euros annually. So basically, we end up at, if we calculate the whole return on investment, if we add it all up, we end up at 312,000 euros, pounds, USD annually, which is nice to have. And you may realize that I left out 500,000, and those 500,000 you may want to use to spend, to buy nice stuff, so you really feel the wealth that you really have. But on the other hand, you don't spend 500,000 without earning 312,000 per year. So you do not really spend your principal, you spend on interest. And this is what it's all about. Don't spend your principal, spend the interest that you gain with your principal. Everything I've said knowing and wanting that you know that there is no guarantee for the percentages I've told you are possible, because all the percentages are based on past experiences and cannot predict the future, of course. But long term, this type of handling money has proven to be the best way. And to summarize everything that I've said, buy freedom, no stuff.